Awesome. We are rolling right now, and I'm going to introduce you to a guy that I think is going to take this idea and then going to move to the next level. He's been speaking around the country. He's an HR guy. He's got a lot of heart and soul. He's kind of an intellectual in certain ways, and that, of course, has endeared him to his audiences. And I want to tell you that Jason Lauritsen's interview today is being brought to you by Lutz CPA. Now, Lutz is the largest accounting firm in the state of Nebraska. They're diversified. They're not just CPAs. They do venture capital, business plans, fraud. Now they're moving into business brokerage, all right? My friend Bill Kennedy over there is a Vistage member, a managing partner of Lutz. Great guy, solid firm. Please, if you're looking for a CPA and advice, you must go to Lutz first. Lutz begins with L, Lauritsen begins with L. So I'm going to introduce you now to Jason Lauritsen, ladies and gentlemen. Please say hello, my good friend Jason Lauritsen, right up here. Here he is. You've been speaking. You knew I was coming here. I had that linkage.
Indeed.
I had the bridge between the L's there.
The alliteration, it was beautiful.
Alliteration, that's right. That gets me about halfway through my career. Listen, you have some very interesting messages that you articulate in your presentations. I know you do an awesome job as a keynote speaker. And people want to know, because the HR department it largely is chaotic in many ways. It doesn't seem to make sense to anybody with a brain. They're moving paper around. They got the insurance stuff. A lot of people are defensive back there. It's just a crazy thing. And you come along and you provide clarification about two key issues. One is authenticity. Authenticity, which is not a word, by the way, that you hear a lot in the office. You're not being authentic with me. You just don't hear it that often. But it's a key issue, is it not? Tell us about it.
It is. Well, I think you're starting to hear it in a lot of different places. I don't think you hear it in the office. You should be hearing it. That's kind of the position. But I think authenticity has become one of those concepts that we're bouncing around a lot. We talk about it. We give it lip service to the point of almost making it a buzzword. And I think it's something that's incredibly powerful that I think we're missing opportunity around. It's costing us.
Just help me out here. Does authenticity mean sincerity, so people just feel like, the guy's being sincere with me, or taking it even further, transparency? Or is it really more knowing or not knowing who you are from an identity point of view? How do you define authenticity in a workplace environment?
I think for me, it's the second. It's really understanding who you are, understanding why you're here, and then how to, with that as a foundation, connecting and aligning your world to that, in essence. And so it begins with, it's a lot of it. At a personal level, I think it's one of those things that's really important to some of the conversations that we've been having about success and about career, is that if you don't invest the time in understanding who you are and how you're wired up and what's important to you, then it's really hard to be in a relationship, whether it be with individual relationships or with a work relationship that aligns with that.
In theory, of course, I can't disagree with that. But, I've been in a lot of corporate environments, and very seldom do I sit down in front of somebody and say, I'm here today because I know who I am, and this is my purpose in life, and this is what I'm all about, and my key priorities. A lot of people just don't care about that. They just want to know, can you get the job done? When's the deadline? How can I help you? Next.
Absolutely.
And these conversations don't seem to come up. And yet when I hear you talk about them, it feels like a really important subject.
Yeah, well, and I think it is. I mean, we have to remember that a lot of the ways we still do work today and we manage work is, they're holdovers from an industrial economy where we were trying to teach people to sort of be cogs in a machine.
Be cogs.
And the reality is today, you've talked about innovation and adaptability, and that is that if our organizations are going to survive, it's about adaptability, it's about innovation, and really that lives I think, at the talent level. I think where we're wasting the most of our resources is in what we're doing with talent. People aren't being invited to share their full contribution.
Yeah, we're underperforming relative to what we have to contribute, and sometimes our employers don't really care. They don't really want what we have to provide.
It's not, I think it's interesting, all the evidence is around us. And we talked a little bit earlier that you look at the S&P 500, and the average lifespan of a company in the S&P in 1937 was 75 years.
Wow.
2012, the average lifespan is 15 years. Our big businesses are literally becoming extinct because they can't adapt. They're not adapting, and I think that's largely due to what we're doing with people.
Yeah. I know there's another word, and everybody in this room is going to relate to this, and that is relationships. We talked about authenticity, very interesting word, kind of esoteric in some ways, but relationship, we can all understand that, right? We're shaking hands, my name's Lynn, what do you do, blah, blah, blah. What's the problem and what's the issue with relationships at the office?
Well, I don't know that it's, I guess we talk about it in terms of connection.
Yeah.
Is that there's really, the connection is what I think a lot of times fuels so much of what happens around us. Like I was thinking about, if I track back every single job that I've had in my career,
yes.
I can track that back to a specific relationship that I had.
Yeah.
When I think about the success that I had, we don't succeed in a bubble, right? Everything tracks back to a relationship. And so a lot of the work that we did and what we talk about is about how teaching people how to be more intentional about creating and forming relationships that fuel success.
Being intentional, explain that for 30 seconds. What does that really, I mean, aren't we all being intentional at any given point in time, or are we being mechanical and just kind of knee-jerk reacting to whatever comes up?
Yeah, I think we build relationships, but we don't think about it in terms of the kinds of relationships we build, who we're building relationships with, how we tend to those relationships.
Are you talking about being more shrewd and manipulative about building relationships?
This goes back to the word, like I said, I will go back to intentional. It's about thinking about the kinds of relationships that you need to fuel your career and putting yourself in a situation to meet those, reaching out, showing up at an event like this. You're going to make lots of connections, but then it's what do you do with those? And the initial connection is only the start. It's what you do with that afterwards.
Yeah. Sustaining and building and deepening the connection. I know some people I've met before, they're not so sure about me, and then they see me in a different context, and they go, oh, okay, I got you now, I figured you out.
Right.
And Jason's going, yeah, I can understand why that would be the case.
I'm still a little uncertain.
A little uncertain about that. I don't blame you for that. No, I think this is two very interesting topics, and you're talking about this on your speaking route. Tell us a little bit about your keynote career. It's doing very well.
Yeah, it's fun. It's one of those things, we've been talking about success. One of the things I was late to realize is that I love speaking. I love being, I am most comfortable and energized when I'm standing in front of a room, when I'm getting to share. And so eventually it was like having the courage to say, you know what, there actually is a career path available. It sounds ridiculous at first.
It does, sounds ridiculous.
But I've been able to travel the country and the world to some extent and get paid to do something I love.
Yeah, and talk about stuff that you're passionate about.
It's incredible.
It's incredible.
Tremendous
Jason Lauritsen, and your firm is called Talent Anarchy.
Indeed.
And that's because most personnel departments are anarchistic and chaotic. But we both know that in chaos is where creativity and innovation and fertility, it all comes out of those crazy environments, doesn't it?
Indeed.
Huh?
Indeed.
I think you know that better than I do. Jason Lauritsen,
Thanks,
ladies and gentlemen, right
Appreciate
here.
it.
Talent Anarchy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Awesome job. Very good.